Hello everybody, let's do a quick review video of this Leixen UV25D radio. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Leixen makes a 20-watt handheld radio. There are not many handheld radios that are 25 watts. There's a few of them out there. But when you get this, you will get a box like this. Nice basic lettering and images on there. And then, of course, not an empty box. But it comes with the battery, the belt clip, and antenna. This handy dandy wrist strap, and the antenna follows this path here. And that's pretty much all you get in the box, along with this user manual right here. Now this video will just be a quick review and maybe go over some of the features, and I will show you guys a little bit of the software, how to program this radio. So overall, I think the build quality is very nice. It has a fan, by the way, in the back here, so that will automatically turn on when it senses this is getting pretty hot, especially since it's using 20 watts. It is a very beefy radio. I will show you a comparison between this and another couple of radios that I have. So here's a comparison between this Leixen 20-watt radio, UV25D, to the Radioddity GM30 radio. This is a GMRS radio. You can see it's pretty much half the size, right? And then here is the comparison to the Radtel 470 here. And then this is a Baofeng, however you say it. This is the UV82, which I took the battery out because I'm storing it at the moment. But yeah, this one is also quite small. So this radio is massive. The weight, let's see if it says in the manual how much it weighs. 300 grams, that's how much this thing is. It's a brick. It definitely feels really beefy in your hands. It does feel solid, so I'm not sure if it will break if you drop it and stuff like that, but it does feel solid because of that weight. Also, the way you take this battery off is there's this slot here, and it is a little bit stiff or hard to take out. But once you get it loose, it comes out easy. You can see this battery is a model LB-X8, uses 12.6 volts here. The capacity is a 4,000 milliamp hour. And then under this belt clip, you can see maybe it is the UV25D. 20 watts power frequency range. It is a VHF UHF radio only, but it does receive on additional frequencies. So the 136 to 174 megahertz and the 400 to 480 megahertz there. So it does transmit on GMRS, and antenna must be connected. There's a caution there, probably because it's a 20-watt radio. And don't mind the serial number. Also, for this, by the way, I did get a battery eliminator. So that's another plus for this radio. Not all radios have these battery eliminators, but this one does. And this is super lightweight, which will then obviously keep the radio lightweight if you're using that, because this battery is a little bit heavy. But anyway, it says all the same information here. Obviously, there's no battery inside of this. Is a really lightweight doohickey here, and it fits in there like the battery does. And the reason I got this is because I actually use this as a truck radio. It just clips on there next to my steering wheel, and then this plugs into the cigarette lighter. I may end up actually even, I don't know, cutting this off and hardwiring it to the battery myself. But in any case, this is working fine for me right now. I highly recommend it because this is only like 11 bucks or so. And by the way, I got both of these off of eBay. I can't find these on Amazon, or I didn't. If I do, I'll put a link in the description for you. But these battery eliminators are quite cheap. You could go ahead and pick up a couple of them. You know, these will also work in your solar generators or backup power generators, things like that, in case you ever need that and you don't want to charge up your battery or use the battery. So anyway, that way you always get constant power for that. But we'll go ahead and put the battery back in and then kind of go over some more things. Overall, it has a light. A lot of them do. It has these 2 LED lights as well, which can shine in different colors actually. So they will illuminate in different colors depending on if you're using PTT1 or A and B, for example. So there's my B. You can see that it's lighting up red. The other one is, let's go back to channel mode, also in red, but you can change those. I'll go over all of the settings pretty much in the software, but you know, these lights are customizable, these buttons are customizable, and I really like this in general. It feels really good. It also uses the same kind of connectors that your Baofeng or other radios use. So you can use the same kind of cable. You don't have to buy a new cable, and the software is not, Chirp isn't going to work, by the way, but Leixen does have its own software. It's a little bit tedious, and I'll go over that a little bit more later. Other than that, the buttons on this are very stiff, I would say. They're big and stiff, but they do click and they do work pretty good and they feel pretty solid. Here is the light, by the way, which shines, and I just customize that. I also customize the power. You can do low, medium, or high, as you can see here. all of the settings and things like that are pretty much standard. It is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit harder, I think, to program this manually. So it's better to use your software. But of course, if you really need to learn how to use it, we'll have to check out the manual, okay? Everything is pretty much described really well in this manual. And in any case, I do like all of the options on the screen that you can see in your powers and your receives when you transmit or receive. Okay, let's go ahead and do the power output check on this. After that, I think then we'll do the software analysis here for you so you guys know how to program it, because there are some things on there that I had to learn. By the way, this button down here called VM, that'll switch you into channel mode or frequency mode. So right now it's channel mode. I'll do frequency mode. Exit will go up and down. Basically, your manual will go over that for you. I think is all pretty much self-explanatory. All right, so here's frequency 24500. Let's just see if I do transmit on it or not. I don't think so, because the manual says it is VHF, UHF, but you never know with these Chinese radios, right? So we'll go ahead and check. Yep, so it says error. You cannot transmit on these frequencies in the 1.25 meter band or in the 200 megahertz, but you can receive. By the way, here's the transmit frequencies, 400 to 480, 136 to 174, and the receives, you're able to go up from 400 to 520 megahertz on the receiving. The VHF, it's going to be the same. And then frequency here, 200 to 260 megahertz, and the 60 to 108, that's like your radio. But yeah, you can receive on 200 to 260 megahertz if you have any channels in there or frequencies in there that you like to listen to. All right, let's just go ahead and type a random frequency like 14500 and do a power test here. And to transmit on the top channel here, we have to do this big button. This is going to transmit. This is the dual PTT, the second PTT for B, right? 14500. All right, let's check it out. So on 14500, you can see the frequency here. Frequency here, 14500. We're outputting 20.0 watts. So in between the 19.5 to 20 watts there, that is pretty good, right? Now let's do a VHF or UHF signal here. 420. Let's do a few in there because there's a lot on here. So 42000. We're at 18 watts, 17, 18, slightly lower here. Let's do 440000. Now we're dropping down. We have been on high power this whole time, by the way, but now we're only at 14 watts. And this is a fully charged battery, by the way. 460, and that's also about 14 watts. And let's try 480. There we got 13.3 watts. Let's do 500 because you can I don't think you can transmit on here, but you can listen. Error, okay. Don't really know what that is. I have this nice fancy doohickey on there, but it's picking up something on frequency 500 megahertz. So anyway, there's your VHF and UHF power settings. As you go higher up in the frequencies, it looks like it is dropping off. Let's try 475, 16 watts. But in any case, I think you're getting good power outage, by the way, especially with a handheld radio. So now that we've kind of given my thoughts on this radio, let's go ahead and talk about the software programming and catch up with you guys after that. All right, guys, let's get into this Leixen programming software, UV-25D. I'll put a link in the description basically where you can download it, but I think a quick Google search, if I forget to do that, will be able to help you out easily there. So when you get this plugged into your computer, it's just going to use a standard, I think it's called a K-type connector, to a USB-A. Just use basically what you use for your Baofeng, for example, or other ones. They're all popular. They all seem to use the same cable. But once you get that plugged in there, you're going to want to go to this communication port and make sure you've got the right one selected, and then click on close, and then you will want to click on this icon here because we're going to bring all of the data from the radio into the software. So this has a computer screen with an arrow to it from the radio, so click on that and it'll say read from radio, right? And click on read, obviously, and it'll go ahead and start reading it. If you don't get this, it's more than likely because the COM port wasn't selected right. Sometimes it can be finicky. All you have to do is probably cycle your radio on and off a couple of times, or unplug or plug back in the USB. Maybe try different USB ports. If that still doesn't work, then if you do a quick Google search, you'll be able to find out where you can go into your device management and try and check to see which COM port that you need to use. So anyways, we'll go ahead and let this continue to read from the radio because I already have some things on here. Okay, so now that it's successfully read from the radio, and if you have this brand new on your computer, you won't see anything. I think you'll have some default frequencies. But anyway, go ahead and click close. You'll have some default frequencies here. Like here's channel B, down here is hiding my channel A. But you're gonna have 3 windows here open. Right now you'll see channel A, channel B, and basically what I've done is that I've separated my kind of groups of frequencies, and you can do whatever you want. But what I did is on the left side here in channel A, if I extend this, you'll see that in this channel alias column, by the way, we've got my MERS, GMRS stuff in here, and some random simplex and the International Space Station, because I think it's kind of cool. And then on the right, which is my channel B, you will see that these are all just repeaters that I have in the general area, the way that I named them and can best memorize or remember what they are. So that's kind of what I did. You can keep everything in channel A or everything in channel B, or divide them how you want. But we'll come back to this in a little bit on programming. But first I just wanted to show you the optional features here, or this window here that kind of goes through all of the features and menu settings. So I'm not an expert. It is kind of hard to understand what all of this does and what it means. There's not really a manual for this software, but I'll kind of go through here and show you what settings that I have that kind of work for me so far. Maybe what's not important or that I don't know what it is, I won't talk about it. The APO I leave off, and the scan key. You can set that. I think everybody kind of knows what this is about. You can Google it too, CO or 2. Timeout timer. So like if you want the radio to automatically time out after talking, you can set that here. I think this is in seconds, so 120 seconds. And your frequency step, I just set it to 5 kilohertz. You can do that, or set however you like to change your frequency while you're adjusting things in your radio. Your monitor, I always just do all of this so they have the whole thing ready to go: CTCS, DCS, and DTMF. Battery save level, put it in 4. You can set whatever you want. If you don't want to just save any battery, you can just do off. I use this radio in my truck, and it's basically always using a battery eliminator anyway, so this doesn't really matter to me. But if you want the radio to remember what your settings are, just set it here now. So I'll just go ahead and do off. Backlight, you can set it to your key, your continuous, or all. I'll do all. And I really like that this radio has this backlit color on the LED. You can do orange, blue, or purple, and I like orange, so I left it as orange. And the key lock mode, not really exactly sure what that does. If you guys have any more feedback to what these are, please put them in the comment section, because it's kind of hard to find out or research what each of these mean, because every radio manufacturer kind of renames or names things differently probably. The AB select, again, I was just mentioning to you channel A and channel B, but I don't really know what this means if you're selecting A or B. Maybe this is the automatic one that is selected when you turn the radio on, which I put on channel B. I'm not too sure exactly. The FM band, whichever FM radio, I don't really listen to FM radio on these, but you can always set it to whichever place you live. Basically, I live in the US, so we'll use that. The repeater, I think you want to be in the U to V or V to U. It is easily Googleable. Scanning type, you can choose what you want to scan. 32 channels or all, and per minute time. I think this is the rate that it can scan. Excuse me. All right, then you go over here to channel A and channel B. Here you can see if you want your VFO or MR mode. Frequency, you either want, well here, so the memory caller channel, I put on here frequency MR instead of MR channel, and the squelch level to 1. You can set your squelch to whatever you want. And I did the same for channel B. Basically what I want to do is be able to see the name of the frequency that I wrote in there instead of memorize the numbers of the numbered frequency. But whatever is best for you, you can do that. I always want to start in memory mode instead of VFO mode. And then you have your voice activated speaking here. I don't use this, so it doesn't matter anything to me, but you can set that to whatever you want if it's important to you. Custom display, I always put my call sign there just because, when I turn the radio on, maybe, I can, if someone is using it, they'll see my call sign, or if I forget it, I always have it there. And then up here in the top again, you have like boxes that you can check mark what you want to turn on and off. For example, open beep, left off Roger beep. Alias enable, you're going to want to keep that on if you're going to want to be able to see the name of the channels that you write. Then you have dual watch or FM enable, FM dual watch scan, battery save. So if you have your battery save level over here on a certain number, you want to go ahead and click on this as well to kind of activate that as well. Repeater enable, I have that on. Repeater on, don't put that on unless you know what you're using there. Basically, you'll set all your repeaters in your channel A and B programming here shortly. I like small font, that way I can see as much information on the screen as possible. But if you have bad eyes, maybe you don't want that. Fan enabled, so this radio has a cool fan on the back, and obviously I want to make sure I have that enabled if it ever needs to be used. You can also disable it during transmit, so like maybe if it's interfering or causing too much noise, you can always turn that off. And I think that's pretty much it as far as, yeah, I mean scan, I left it all unchecked. You could check it, but even if you have that unchecked, you can still scan the buttons or scan the frequencies or the channels. We'll get to that in a bit. Here we have special function. I don't do anything in here. I don't really know exactly what all I can do in here. PTT ID, I don't ever use that. Does anybody really ever use this for anything? I'm not sure. I don't use it for what I use the radios for. Auto dial memory, I think you can set these somehow. Maybe, you know, if someone has more information than me, please let me know, because there's not much video information about this software. If we go to key assignment, now this is very handy. I like this tab because you can set the long press time for any of your customizable keys. So here I have 1.2 seconds. As long as I hold it down to 1.2 seconds, it'll activate it for the long press setting. And so P1, you can see it right here. P1 is this button here. If I hold it down for 1.2 seconds or whatever you have set here, it will bring up the power settings for me to quickly change the power from low, medium, or high. If I just do a short press, it's going to automatically scan. So when I was telling you about this over here, this was unchecked. When I set this to scan here, all I had to do was just press that button once and it would scan it. So exit the long, you can change whatever you want here. I just chose the FM radio. I don't really use anything else in here, I guess. And then squelch base value. I don't really know what this actually means for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 9, unless this is related to the number pad. And then we have these squelch options. So I'm not sure. Sorry, can't help you there, but I don't use it and the radio is working like I want. Band select. So here you can open up or select your bands. You know, this radio is able to handle multiple frequencies, but you still cannot transmit out of the VHF, UHF bands that I know of. So here though, you can tighten your bands up if you want. I think I was just playing with some things over here, just adding radio stations for FM radios. Can't remember what I was doing that for. Probably for something with scanning. Up here at the top, you can set your different bands, I guess. For some reason, I can't even checkmark box this over here where it says band select. But anyway, we'll put this back. Okay, so there's that setting here. Now we go to this over here. Now, it is a big pain in the butt to use this software because I'm used to chirp, copy, paste, or import things from Repeater Book and so on. It's very, very, very convenient. This here, unfortunately, the best way you're gonna have to do, I think, is type in each individual thing over here, like for the frequency, the receive frequency. You can copy and paste it in, but you're gonna be doing it individually. So sometimes it's just faster for me to put the cursor in, type really quick 151.82 on my number pad. And then once you have the frequency there, you go ahead and you can type in the tone, or usually it's a drop down box. Yeah, there you go. It's very finicky programming, I'm telling you. Do your drop down here, you have your other codes, inverted and in, all your D codes, right? Your digital modes, digital tones, I guess, and then your CTCS tones here. And I feel like you get a lot more tones. And what's interesting on the radio is you can actually, like, for example, if you wanted 88.5, but say you had your own simplex channel that you and your friends are talking on, I noticed that you can physically type in a specific number, any number you want, maybe 88.9, and be able to hopefully talk to each other that way, which is neat because you can go outside of these tones. It seems like don't quote me on that yet, but it seems like that's something that's possible. So yeah, here both of them work. You just have the drop downs, and then you're going to get really, really good at math. Like if this is a repeater, you're going to be good at math, or you're just going to be typing in your offsets, your plus or minus 0.6 on VHF, or plus or minus 5 megahertz, whatever. You're either going to get good at math, or you're just going to have something where you can have a reference sheet where you can quickly type in what is what on your receive and transmit. After that, you can select your power settings, high, medium, or low, which I have later in the video, or I already showed you guys what these settings are, what power settings I'm getting. Bandwidth, you can do your narrow or wide. Scan, add. If you want it to go to scan, obviously on, if not off. BLK, I think it means block. Tail cut, on or off. Vox, on or off. PTTID, DTMF. I don't really do anything with those here until I get to the alias open. So the alias is the name of the channel. So you can turn it on or off. Now if you turn it on here and you had the other setting over here turned on right here, that does not mean that you're going to be able to see your channel name yet. So Stay tuned. Later in the video, I'll show you how to make sure you turn that on. It is a very tedious process. But anyway, all of these are names of the channels. I got my GMRS, MERS, and stuff like that. Your reverse and your talk around and your APRO or other settings here that I don't mess with. So anyway, like I said, it's going to be a tedious and long process. Once you have everything in here though, it's not going to be as painful because then you're just adding a few at a time instead of right here. I did 52 all in one night once. You can auto add. So let's click here. If we click auto add, what it'll do is give you a random frequency like that. And let's say you wanted to add a frequency like in the middle here. Well, you can't like select and copy and cut it and paste it and move it down. You're just going to have to select, like say if I want to put a line after number 49 here, I'm going to have to select this row and go down here where it says channel down. That'll move it down, but now I have to do all of that until I can get to my channel 9. And when you do that, you inadvertently click on these and change the settings, so be careful there. And now I can go in here and type it in. So that's a pain in the butt. And let's see, if we want to channel delete, select on the row or whatever, click on delete and it will delete it for you. Now there is no Control Z, you cannot undo it, so save often. So I just permanently lost that unless I reopen the file and bring it back up, but then you don't leave off of where you last saved. So make sure you always save and be careful with these buttons here. Channel clear, I don't want to click on that. I mean I could, but yeah, let's see what happens. Channel clear. I don't know what this means. Who reads this language? I click yes. That'll delete your whole channel. So everything is gone now. So anyway, that's gone. I will not save this or write it to the radio. So no harm, nothing lost there. Let's work from channel B now to show you what I have there. It's the same difference. Your channel alias, by the way, you're limited to certain characters. Can't go too far, unfortunately, like on some radios. And yeah, so I explained channel clear, up, down, and the delete button. And so unfortunately, it's a tedious process. That's the software. I hope that this radio can get programmed into Chirp soon. But once you have this, this is still a lot faster than manually doing it on the keyboard on the radio at least. So it's not completely horrible. Once you get it going here, you kind of get in a rhythm to start getting all this typed in there. And then after that, it's just a matter of adding a few different ones or coming back to tweak it. You're not going to spend all night redoing that unless you've got another bunch of 40 channels to add, unfortunately. So that's the software, guys. Anything, let's go up here, see what else there is. This is called radio information. Blah, blah, blah. I don't really know what it means. Maybe that's when the factory used it. Can I type in the radio information? Nope. Can't type here. Administrators can't do anything there. But that's just radio information, I guess. What is this button? Optional features. What's this button? Channel B, channel A. Okay, A and B here. Neat. And then your writing, your computer to your radio, and then your COM port, which I showed you, and the read from radio. So reading, I mean, it's simple. Once you're done making your changes, click on this computer to radio button and that'll save everything to your radio and you're good to go. I won't do that now because then it will erase everything from A. And then your save, obviously open and new, right? Program, you can, everything I just showed you here on those buttons, you can do from the menus up here. Your language, you can do Chinese, English, or question mark language, and help. That's the program. It's not the best, however, at least it's something better than nothing, and it'll save you some time from doing it manually. Okay, so the software was a pain in the butt, right guys? But when I first wanted to see the names of the channels on here, I couldn't get it done. I was doing the channel alias and turning it on and everything inside of the software. It just wasn't working for some reason. So I started to go in here and I started looking what power or what menu setting do we need to go to change in here. So anyway, you want to go to your menu setting number 21, name sys system. Make sure that's turned on, and then we'll go to press up. Now we're at name channel. Make sure that is also turned on. NA edit. I don't know what NA edit means. Oh, you can rename. You can actually rename that here in the menu actually. So anyway, you have to make sure that you turn that on for every single channel. Unfortunately, that's the way you got to do it in order to turn it on, to make sure that every channel gets its name, because if not, you're only going to get the one channel name changed there. So you just turn that on like this, hit the menu down, like for example, that's off. There you go. So menu to select this, up or down to select on, hit menu to save. And then I will go exit, and then I go up to the next one. And then at least luckily you stay in that menu setting. Menu again, menu, change, menu again, save, exit, next channel, menu. So you like memorize a pattern here, menu, arrow, menu. exit, menu, arrow, exit. So yeah, that's a pain in the butt. But once you get all of your channels in, then you're going to be happy with the radio. At the beginning, you're going to hate this radio because of how pain in the butt it is to get everything programmed. But after that, you shouldn't have to be changing frequencies too much again, because at that point, you're just adding 1 or 2 frequencies or maybe modifying or tweaking things there. So you're going to love this radio, I think. At least I love the radio now after it was a pain in the butt spending, a whole night programming it and getting it set up and ready to go. But once you do, you're going to be loving the extra power. It sounds great. It's hitting far repeaters in my area at least, and especially with a really good antenna. But it's good to have options like this if you ever need something with 20 watts. So there's my video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and hopefully you learned something. And if you guys have any questions, again, I'm not an expert on this radio. I'm learning a little bit more. I know more about the other simpler, easier to use radios like the Radtels or the Baofangs and things like that. But this one's a little bit more complicated, and I didn't see a lot of really helpful videos maybe about this or how it's working and things like that. So I hope this video really helps you out, guys. So thanks a lot for watching. And like I said, leave a comment in the comment section if you have any questions, and we'll see you guys later.